President Cyril Ramaphosa says the launch of the Nant-SA Vaccine manufacturing campus will help address the disparities in healthcare systems on the continent. Ramaphosa further decried the hoarding of COVID-19 vaccines by rich Western countries. The president says the vaccines manufactured at the campus will be distributed to many countries on the continent. My colleague Athi Mtongan is at the launch and she joins us live now for more details. So a little bit earlier on we heard from the president saying the days of going cap in hand to the West begging are behind us with the launch of this plant. Athi?
Yes, a state-of-the-art vaccine manufacturing facility that has been launched here, a groundbreaking initiative for not only South Africa and Cape Town in particular, but the entire African continent. It's partnerships like these that President Cyril Ramaphosa says will eradicate things like vaccine apartheid, for example, things that we've heard spoken about during this pandemic. But I do have with me the Minister of Health, Dr. Joe Phaahla. Thank you so much, Minister, for your time. Talk to us about the meaning of this for the healthcare sector in South Africa. We did have the Minister of Higher Education, Science and Technology, and this is certainly, as the President said, a new era for health sciences. Talk to us about the meaning and the essence of what all of this means.
Well, it means a lot for us as those leadership responsible for health in South Africa, because what this science which Dr. Patrick is bringing here into the country, one, as he has mentioned, the production potentially of a second generation of COVID-19 vaccines, which will not only deal with preventing severe illness, but also has the potential to stop the actual spread of the virus, as he has indicated, the technology on which they are working. That will really be a major breakthrough in terms of, the control of the COVID. If that technology, but, he seems very confident in terms of how far they've gone, the science behind it, as he has indicated in his presentation. Once that actually becomes a reality, it means we're almost there in terms of bringing the pandemic to the end, stopping to worry once we can be able to have that kind of vaccine, from even worrying about mutations, about new variants, because that is the concern which we have at this stage. So for that to actually happen in our country, to be the first country which can benefit from that, I'm sure, obviously, as the President has indicated, when that happens, we will very gladly want to share that with our compatriots in the African continent, but also in the rest of the world.
Dr. Joe Phaahla, I understand that this facility will not only focus on manufacturing vaccines for COVID, we're looking at a broader spectrum in terms of tackling diseases in the African continent. Talk to us about how this will particularly benefit the medical sector in South Africa and many of the unemployed doctors across this particular country.
Well, the broader tackling of various other diseases which challenge the continent, that's even more exciting, because as you would know, he's already mentioned the question of continuing to look at a possible vaccine against HIV. That work has been ongoing in the world, not just in South Africa, for many years. There has not yet been a breakthrough, but he is very confident that with the technology which they are using, that is possible. A vaccine against tuberculosis, that will be a major advancement. And of course, is already researching on various vaccines also against cancer, including cancer of the cervix, as he has mentioned, cancers which are more dominant in South Africa and in the African continent. So that will be really, again, a major breakthrough, because when we talk about the burden of disease in South Africa, we talk about infectious diseases, We talk about non-communicable diseases, and in the infectious diseases, he's already addressing quite a big chunk of that, COVID, TB, and then also HIV. But on the non-communicable side, there's an explosion of cancer. So if we can find vaccines we already have, for instance, against cervical cancer, the HPV vaccine. But it looks like they're looking also at even improvement in that area, breast cancer. If we can find also prostate cancer, colon cancer. So there are a lot of in the cancer area. In terms of opportunities for young South Africans, well, this is more than just basic medicine. So it means young medical graduates can specialize in the area of research. Many young South Africans can, go into various, even super specialties in the areas of vaccinology, in some of the areas of infectious diseases. So this is really going to be a huge opportunity for the young medical scientists.
Groundbreaking, to say the least. As I let you go, Minister, when are we expecting then the work to kickstart? And most importantly, when are we expecting these vaccine doses to be produced, and how many are we looking at? I heard something about a deadline or a timeline of 2025?
No, that's not my understanding. The work is already going on. That detail, I think, Dr. Shu Seong will be better to answer, but from my understanding, as we were discussing even earlier before I came to talk to you, there's a lot of work already happening. They've already submitted information to SAPRA. So we're not looking at 2025, definitely from what he has indicated. I think in answering one of the questions, he has indicated that there will be already a lot of progress in 6 months' time, a lot of documents, a lot of information already with the regulator, and with the hope that by the end of this year already, it all also depends on approvals by the regulators. They are submitting information to SAPRA, they are submitting to the US FDA, they are also submitting to the Europeans and also to Australia and other countries their information. So from what he's saying, it's highly possible that with all those, if there are all those approvals, by the end of 2022 already, we'll start to see a flow of the products.
All right, thank you so much, Minister. You can go off. The Minister of Health, Joe Phaahla, talking to us about this groundbreaking initiative that has been launched here in the Western Cape. I don't know if my colleague would be able to pan and show you, but the man of the hour, Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong, is flanked by a number of international guests that have made their way here. I don't know if my colleague would be able to show you. He's now greeting several guests from across the globe who made their way to South Africa here in Cape Town to meet him and to be part of this groundbreaking initiative that means so much for Africa and South Africa, and certainly for the Western Cape. I asked Dr. Patrick how many South Africans would roughly be employed through this particular collaboration between the state and the private sector, and he's estimated about 400 South Africans to benefit through this collaboration. I can see that my colleague is getting a glimpse then of the man of the hour, Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong, who is the founder of Nant-SA. It is a conglomerate that, of course, will be partnering with the government in manufacturing vaccines, not only for COVID, but for breast cancer, for HIV, and for many infectious diseases that are plaguing many countries across the African continent. The Premier of the Western Cape, Alan Wendy, is here. Premier, quickly, I just want to grab you because this means so much for this province. And I was just asking simply what this means for South Africans in terms of employment. I know you're one person who speaks about growing the economy. What does this mean for the Western Cape?
So I think it's, of course, there's the jobs in the economy, but it's also about a whole new level of pride, a whole new level of ability. I think that, suddenly now it's not just we're part of an assembly plant. We actually can use brain power in our universities to develop life-saving products that can be manufactured here, used here, and in the continent. So this is like by the continent, for the continent, on the continent. So it's really exciting stuff. And people have been talking about this for so long. How are we going to get the biotech side going? We started off with the first heart transplant in the world. We've got amazing universities, and sort of what is the next stage? And this is it. And so it's really, really exciting. And I think it's a catalyst that's going to move a whole lot of other investments coming. So I think watch the space. It's going to move us. And I think, if I think about the university students who are getting opportunity here for bursaries, and our universities themselves, now suddenly, you're really good in your game. You can actually stay here and produce what you actually want to dream about instead of going somewhere else to do it. I think this is really great news.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. The Premier of the Western Cape, very excited about this groundbreaking initiative, which will benefit not only South Africa and the Western Cape, but the entire African continent. Dr. Patrick Soon Shiong, he's South African born but lives abroad, will be working with the South African government, President Cyril Ramaphosa, hailing him for initiating this partnership that is said to be a catalyst of investment, certainly in the health and science sector across this continent.
Athi Mtongan at the Nant-SA Vaccine Manufacturing Campus in the Western Cape. Thank you for that update.